News break coming in right on the top of To The Point and cutting across directly to the residence of Shraddha Kapoor. After Sara Ali Khan being served the notice, the summon by the NCB team, you see right there on your television screen, that's that white van. That is the NCB team's vehicle. It's now gone and delivered the summon to Shraddha Kapoor. Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor are to be questioned on the 26th, which is the coming Saturday. 25th is going to be Deepika Padukone, is what we know. Tomorrow, 24th, is going to be Rakul, Preet and Simone Khambatta. All right, with that big news break, I want to take our viewers through on how the spotlight has now come on the NCB. The NCB till now, it was all on the basis of conjecture, all on the basis of WhatsApp leak chat, source-based information. Now the NCB has served notices to 4 Bollywood actors. You could say one of them a superstar, one of the highly billed Bollywood stars, Deepika Padukone, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor, Rakul, Preet. All of them have to appear before the NCB in the next 3 days. We just gave you the dates there. But a big question is also being asked by to the NCB today. Whether is this all a hit job or fair play? Which one?
All women, all Bollywood's leading ladies. Deepika Padukone, one of Bollywood's top-billed superstars, all now at the center of an investigation into the alleged drug racket within the industry. The Narcotics Control Bureau has issued summons to all 4. All will be questioned in the next 3 days, while Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor, Rakul, Preet were allegedly named by Rhea during investigation. In these chats accessed by India Today, Deepika is seen seeking Mal from Karishma. She is seen to be asking for hash specifically. The catch? These chats date back to October 2017. Karishma, who was summoned for questioning by the NCB, did not turn up on Tuesday. Sources say her lawyer will seek more time from the agency to join the investigation. The suspected link to Deepika emerged during the NCB's questioning of Sushant Singh Rajput's talent manager, Jaya Saha. Interestingly, what began as an investigation into Sushant's death is now a full-fledged inquiry into Bollywood's drug habits and threatens to snare big names. Sources in the NCB tell India Today, Tia Mirza could be the next in line. They claim to have found evidence of her alleged drug purchase. The actor has denied the allegations against her, saying she has never consumed any drugs ever. What is mystifying is the NCB's role in the investigation. Individual cases of drug consumption are usually not its remit, as admitted by its top brass itself.
We look at international connections and interstate connections. Normally, we look at international and interstate connections. We look for the big fish. Normally, this is not part of our mandate. But now that we are getting information, we will not shirk our responsibility.
NCB officials, if they receive information regarding small quantities of drugs being peddled, they pass this information generally to the local police or the anti-narcotics cell. This could be the first time where NCB is investigating a case based on WhatsApp messages where drug procurement was being discussed.
The investigation so far has a few gaps. For one, none of the names mentioned have been caught in possession of drugs or using them. These are instances of alleged drug use that happened in the past. How solid are WhatsApp messages as evidence in the court of law? The NCB, with its investigation into Bollywood's drug use, is certainly entering uncharted territory. With Divyesh Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
So which one is it? Is this a hit job or is this fair play? It's par for course. It had to happen. It's law taking its own course. Which one is it? I want to connect right now to B.V. Kumar, former head Narcotics Control Bureau. I also have with me Shantanu Sen, former joint director CBI. Both the CBI and the Narcotics Bureau is investigating the Sushant Singh Rajput death probe along with the ED. So all these three agencies there. I want to cut across to Mr. Kumar first. Mr. Kumar, appreciate you joining us, sir. My first question is, yes, now summons have been issued to these four stars, Deepika Padukone included. Having said that, a lot of questions being asked of the NCB. Can the role of the NCB in all of this, basing these summons on WhatsApp chats that were had in 2017 with Deepika fair? Do you think the conduct of the NCB can be questioned?
Yes. Once some sort of information has been received by the NCB, they can't ignore it. Issuing summons is a normal way of investigation. Otherwise, many times it's also followed by a search. But in this case, the information apparently has emerged as a result of interrogation of the peddlers, and down below they have mentioned to whom they have supplied the drugs, or some of the contact persons who probably spoke to these peddlers or spoke to some of the colleague actors or actresses. And that's how this information came in the WhatsApp or chats. And from that, the queue has come. Normally, when such information is available, what normally a good investigating agency, that too like a Narcotics Control Bureau, which is an apex elite agency, they should go upwards for investigation to actually grill these peddlers, find out from where they're getting the source of supply. In fact, they could be even 1 or 2 layers above from where they're getting the supply. And if they do a proper investigation, they'll be able to go to the real source. That is where the real source of supply is coming. Is it a domestic source, or probably it's an international smuggling racket? Probably many strong drugs like heroin or cocaine, they come up from Afghanistan or the Golden Crescent area, or sometimes cocaine-like thing is imported from other countries. So this is a dangerous trend. So the investigation, if according to me, should have gone upwards, not downwards towards the addicts or the consumers.
Right. So when you say that, Mr. Kumar, you say that it should have gone upwards and not downwards, which it clearly is going. But Mr. Kumar, I want to ask you, questions need to be raised as well, because you have the current chief of the NCB admitting, saying we usually don't do this. We go after international racketeers. We go after, big smugglers. They don't do this. So why are they compelled to do this?
Now, many times, the Narcotics Control Bureau also receives investigation at the street level, but they don't precipitate the action there. They take that as a cue, go upwards, find out from where the middle level supply is coming, then go to the transport companies or transport media through which the drugs are coming, and finally locate the factories of the supply source. We go upwards, and then it results in a major seizure either of a factory or a major source of storage. Then we'll be able to identify the real racketeers. But stopping the investigation at the addict level or at the street level sale will not help in the investigation in finding out who are the real racketeers. That's where the apex agency is supposed to do investigation, not leak the information either to the press. What is the type of questions we are supposed to ask, or what is the type of statements they have given? Now it's all become, it has come in the public domain. Now that will jeopardize the investigation when they want to go to the higher levels, because the main sources, they will all dry up the place or even leave the country. That's what will happen if this type of field level investigation is leaked to the media, and it may probably give a lot of amount of publicity in the media, but that is not the object of investigation.
The way this investigation has been conducted, Mr. Kumar, as former head of the Narcotics Control Bureau, would you think this would be fair? Because it was all mostly based on leaks, WhatsApp chats. Do you think to hold somebody liable on the basis of leaks and WhatsApp chats is fair?
It's very difficult to prove that type of evidence, particularly what's available in a mobile telephone in the form of a WhatsApp or messages and things. That type of evidence, which is known as electronic media or data that's available, or images, that is required to be proved in terms of the conditions stipulated in Section 65A and 65B of the Indian Evidence Act. And the rules of that have been stipulated in that section is very strict, because computer evidence or any evidence that is available in electronic media can be easily manipulated, changed, or modified. That is one of the dangers. That's why the Supreme Court has taken a serious view that this type of conditions are strictly to be satisfied. Further, the provision in the Evidence Act in Section 20A, which says very clearly that oral evidence, if any recorded, is not relevant unless the genuineness of the electronic media data is proved. That is the way the law has been framed for safeguarding the citizen.
You know, I want to come back to you in just a bit, because I want to ask you, has there been precedence of what we've been seeing till now? I want to ask you that question, sir, but I want to cut across to Mr. Shantanu Sen. We have him right now. He's the former Joint Director of the CBI. Appreciate you joining us, sir. A lot, you know, of course, these are summons issued by the NCB, but a lot of investigation conducted by the CBI is also based on something as leaks or even, say, WhatsApp chats. Do you think it's fair, sir, to hold anyone liable on the basis of, say, WhatsApp chats?
WhatsApp chats are information. Information can come from any source, but that is not evidence or something which the CBI will rely upon. It has to be corroborated. You know, the law is very strict. The facts have to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. WhatsApp conversation is just the beginning. One can peg on that and start investigation. But you have to go much more to prove your case. That is the law. As you will see, the CBI investigations have not yet reached a stage of arrest. After even 40 days of investigation, CBI has not arrested anybody. So CBI has not found sufficient proof of either murder or abetment of suicide or misappropriation or breach of trust. CBI has not charged anybody with these offences. But nothing prevents the CBI from carrying on investigation on information that it's collected. It may be from sources, it may be on telephone call, it may be even anonymous. Every tip has to be investigated. So CBI's investigation on WhatsApp conversation is perfectly legitimate, but it has to go much beyond that to peg its case in court, and therefore it will wait for that evidence before it arrests anyone.
All right, but you know, they have
proceeds against him or
But Mr. Sen, there have anyway been arrests made by the Narcotics Control Bureau, and that prompts me to ask you one question. It's somebody who headed an agency like the CBI. With what you're seeing right now, with the way things are panning out, playing out, it started with the Sushant Singh death probe. Now it's an all-out drug probe where Bollywood is concerned, where the NCB is in question. But having said that, someone who's headed an agency like the CBI, with the way things are proceeding, especially with the Sushant Singh death probe and now the drug probe, have you ever seen any precedence of this?
Well, let me very candidly confess that this carrying on television channels, various television channels, not yours.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
About people who are being summoned, people who are being called, and what are the questions that will be asked upon them, well, in my view, it's rank exposure in a very bad way. There is something known as confidentiality of investigation. There are Supreme Court arbiters on this. You have to keep your investigation confidential for various reasons. And here, the NCB is leaking like a sieve. And NCB is telling people, and unfortunately, since clapping with one hand is not possible, there are channels which are joining the NCB's leaking sieve and clapping along with that and telling the world about people who are being summoned. Maybe they are summoned only for information, but people get the impression they are being summoned as accused or being interrogated for some crime they may have committed. It's very, very unfortunate, and I blame the channels which are doing this for TRP purposes, they may get information, but they cannot and should not use information to denigrate and spoil the image of celebrities when they are being only questioned. This has to be done confidentially. How is it that they take photographs, they are there at the time, they crowd upon the people who summon them? It's all very unfortunate, and it is degrading to see these things. You will notice that the CBI has, as far as possible, not, I think, given information openly. Of course, there has been leakage from the CBI too. And this seems to be the result of channels which want to score. And it is very unfortunate, and I'm sure if you people also start exposing these channels who are denigrating and reducing the investigation to a farce, will be a very good thing to do.
So stay with me, Mr. Sen. I want to bring in, I want to ask the same question to Mr. B.V. Kumar. Mr. B.V. Kumar, for somebody who's headed the Narcotics Bureau, I want to ask you with what you're seeing. Have you seen any precedence of this? The entire investigation, like Mr. Sen just said, is only based on leaks. How can you conduct a fair investigation when everything is on leaks? Do you have any precedence of what's happening right now?
As rightly pointed out by the London Joint Director of the Central Bureau of Investigation, never an investigating agency leaks any progress of investigation that is obtained at the initial stages. That information has to be developed into an actionable case, which ultimately will stand the scrutiny of a court. Normally what we do, and in fact a particular case I can mention, that at a street level in Calcutta, one of the DIG of police has received information that a particular medical shop was selling Mandrax, which is a mood-altering psychotropic substance. It was just not, we didn't bother about it, but we took the information and requested him from where he was getting the supply. Then he gave the source from which he was getting. He happened to be a person who apparently was selling Blackhead, but the major business he was doing was distribution of Mandrax tablets. Entire Northeast region. But that led us to the transport companies, and then a series of companies from Delhi to Calcutta. The transport companies, when we searched, we were able to seize large quantities of narcotic drugs, Mandrax particularly. Then that led to the factories. We were able to locate one factory in Ludhiana and some other factories in the outskirts of Delhi. But the important case we did was the active ingredient methaqualone we found was coming from Bombay, and the pharmaceutical factory which was involved in the active ingredient, we were able to
Mr. Kumar, I understand you've given a decent example on how things were done. I just want to close the show, but I want to ask you, so if you can tell me, how do you reflect on what is happening right now with the Narcotics Control Bureau? Do you agree with this way this probe is being conducted?
No, I feel sad as a former founder and Director General of the Narcotics Control Bureau that the whole thing is now in what you call complete possession of the media. Whatever investigation is being done is almost on an hour-to-hour, on a day-to-day basis being available to the media. And that literally will ruin the investigation. It will probably be over. And no results will be obtained except a lot-wide publicity will be obtained. That's all.
Well, that's what seems to be happening. Appreciate you gentlemen for joining us. We really wanted the voices which matter most, and we've had the former heads of two big agencies, the CBI and the Narcotics Control Bureau. Both these agencies right now are investigating the Sushant Singh Rajput case. And of course, the case which has now moved on to the big drug investigation in Bollywood. We'll keep a close eye on all the developments, but right now, at least these two former heads of these agencies disagree in the way the Narcotics Control Bureau is conducting this probe. Appreciate you both for joining us. Up next is Rahul Kanwar. Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.